you learn those real lessons and then try to figure out how to apply it to the rest of my life.
What's your superpower, man?
A lot of people, including my kids, would probably just say yapping.
Ah, okay.
Just yapping.
Okay.
And my team probably would say the same thing too. I feel like I've been able to.
You really shy away from taking credit, eh?
I give it to God, and I feel like I'm really blessed, in that way. And I also don't take I can't get. I'm not a person that's going to give myself more credit than what I deserve.
Yeah.
I feel like I work really hard and I put the hours in, and but it is the amazing people that I've had around me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's part of the superpower, is just kind of understanding who to, surround myself with, and being, making sure that I'm in the right place at the right time.
You can, would you say that you can also identify how these people will coexist with each other?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you're almost like a nucleus in many ways of bringing the right folks.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I definitely try. That's definitely something that I care about a lot, is making sure that, we're all connected in the ways that we're supposed to be connected, right? And reading the room and understanding that, what could be helpful, what, additional seasonings to the gumbo. Like, how do we pull this other thing in that we need?
What does that mean for you when it's, because you hear that term a lot, like reading the room, and you got to know what reading the room is, and you hear a lot about it in the music industry and the music business, but what does that mean for you?
I think it's the ability to read the room in life, I think, is wildly important.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think I grew up boxing, right? I'm a huge lover in boxing. I boxed a lot in my younger years. I fought one pro fight.
Did you?
Yeah, boxing has always been something that I've been obsessed with, right? The science of boxing.
Yeah.
And the one thing that people take for granted in boxing is like your adrenaline, and like being able to like be calm when somebody's literally trying to
kill you,
take your head off.
Yeah.
That's something that I learned from boxing, right? So I feel like there's moments where I'm able to get in that space where, regardless of what's happening around, being calm enough to read the happenings, right? And like see what's going on and seeing how to play things. And some people, I think sometimes because although I'm a yapper, I don't feel like my superpower is certainly not communication necessarily, because I'm not offering information a lot and I don't like to waste words either. So sometimes it's like I'm in my head kind of reading the situation and figuring out how to deal with it, and then kind of going into action versus sitting around and talking about.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break from the conversation because I have an incredibly important thing that I need to get across to you. If you are an artist, a songwriter, or producer with music out on streaming services, you could be missing out on a major source of income. Every time your song is streamed, performed, or used online, you earn publishing royalties. Here's the problem. Collecting global publishing royalties means registering your songs with multiple collection societies around the world. It is confusing, it is slow, and it is full of middlemen taking a cut. Here's the other issue. Too many of you think you're getting these publishing royalties through your distributor. That is not the case. They collect your master royalties. They do not collect your publishing royalties. And that's where Cosign comes in. Cosign is a publishing admin service created by Cobalt, the same music publisher trusted by legends like Max Martin, Stevie Nicks, Childish Gambino. With Cosign, you submit your songs once and Cosign will handle all global registrations to ensure you collect every penny you're owed. Cosign even has direct licensing agreements with DSPs like Spotify and Apple Music, cutting out middlemen wherever possible to help you keep more of what you've earned. And unlike traditional publishers, Cosign is built for flexibility with a rolling quarterly term. Now, Cosign is a selective platform, but it's easy to apply and the application is 100% free. So if you're ready to start collecting your publishing royalties, apply today at the link in our episode description below. Now let's get back to the pod.
I completely agree with you. If I'm in a room and it's like a group setting and we got to brainstorm, I'm so useless.
Yep.
I'm like, I can't fire out ideas like that. But if you put these ideas on a board or something, or if I'm by myself and isolated, I can definitely start to figure it out, and then I can get people to action on items.
Yeah.
So I get it.
And it's
probably like the boxer.
Yeah, it's
thing,
that
right?
analogy, right?
Yeah.
In boxing, when you're doing it right, you're almost dancing,
Yeah.
right? Because it's movements and it's weight shifts, and it's like, and when you're throwing a punch, it's to set up the punch that's coming after that punch, right?
Right.
And then you know what position you want to be after you throw that punch, so then you can then throw the punch after that, or you can get away from the punch that's coming back, right? It's the science.
It's chess.
Yeah, it's chess. And when you start understanding the science of it, like it's kind of what I've applied to my life. Like, I'm going to do this because I know after that I'm doing this, then I'm coming here, and then I'm going to have to, duck because, there's going to be financial hurdles that I got to deal with, or there's going to be this person or that challenge that I'm going to have to get over. So just applying those things to my life and figuring out how to make it all make sense, I think is
you can see. So would you say you're really good at seeing around the corner?
I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to be.
Easier or harder to fight a southpaw?
I find it harder to fight southpaws.
How come?
I naturally felt like as a right-handed boxer, I felt like I could assume what's coming back more easily than I could with a southpaw.
Right.
I wanted to be southpaw.
Really?
Yeah, and I can switch into southpaw, and some people have told me that I'm better at southpaw. Yeah, but I'm comfortable in more traditional.
Yeah, I always appreciate the folks who come from sports.
Yeah,
because I truly believe. Yeah, it's not like this is, as Drake said, it's an opinionated based sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a level of discipline that you have to have in this business, like athletes do, to be at that level of greatness. And, I mean, you observed it as your entire life.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't get into boxing because it was more about being a light-skinned kid in Philly than it was about, like, that was kind of the,
okay.
It was like,
you're not calling me that.
It's like, I had to at least be able to kind of defend myself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it all comes from something. Yeah.
And but once I got into it, like the disciplines that you learn, I'll never forget the first time I got knocked out bad.
Yeah.
I beat this guy. We were sparring. We were sparring 6 rounds. Beat this guy up for 5 rounds, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Beating this guy up the whole time, beating him up. And I got 10 seconds left in the last round that we're sparring. The bell had rung, so there's less than 10 the 10 minute,
10 second
10 second bell. So there's less than 10 seconds left, and I got my hands down. I'm dancing around. I beat this guy up for 5 rounds, 5 rounds and change.
Yeah,
I'm sure he closed his eyes, but like throws this like wild overhand right and just clips me in the nose. Nose broke, blood everywhere, knocked out cold, gone. That 10 seconds that I took off, you got to see it. You got to see it all the way through, right? So there's these life lessons that I picked up along the way through sports and through boxing, and it was though you learn those real lessons and then try to figure out how to apply it to the rest of my life.
How do you? Because to that point, right? When you were in between, when you closed down the management shop with Troy, I would assume that was a challenging time. How do you see through that? Like, because at that point, you kind of do get knocked out there, right? Because nobody's coming offering a job. Like, how do you see yourself through that?
More challenging than and not, financially challenging. Like Troy and I had done amazingly well for ourselves, and you know, I had figured out how I was paying for lunch the next day,
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like, for me, it's just a wake up call, like nobody's knocking on my door. Like, there's not all of these things and all of these opportunities. Like, I got to get back to work.
Yeah.
And like I was, what the kids say, like working like the rents do. Like I had to get back to that, and it was challenging, but it was one of those things where it's like, don't ever take this shit for granted or feel like you're bigger than the program.
Right.
Like, it's
Don't ever feel that way.
And and I learned that lesson in my 40s. Like I was your age, and it's like, so learning that lesson that late in the game, I had been in the game for 18, 19 years.
Yeah.
And had, we had done some things, and it was a reminder that, like, tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah.
In this shit. And you gotta, it's very different from a lot of different verticals, right? Like you work in apparel, or you work at the bank. If you've been a president of a bank and you don't work at that bank anymore, you're likely going to go from Bank of America to Chase to wherever else.
Move.
That resume will take you to where, like, when your resume doesn't speak to an artist that you broke 2 weeks ago, and it was something 2 years ago or 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. It's not meaningful.
Yeah.
There's no sense of urgency around anybody being in business with you or giving you another shot.
Yeah, I always think of that Eddie Murphy when he says that, right? Like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's how this music business is all the time.
1000%.
Yeah. I had this, I asked because there's a lot of ebbs and flows. People get hot and people get cold. And I think it's important for someone like you at your level. And I've heard this multiple times on this podcast, and I didn't know. I was like, I always thought, the greatest in this business always were just running hot. But the more I have the conversations, the more it's a very similar thing that you say, and someone like Zach Cass will say, or Troy would be like, nobody was calling me to come and do the thing and work, right?
Yeah.
I can't say with Troy if that was a conversation, but I remember specifically with Zach Katz, he thought to himself, why is nobody hiring me? And then he had to go actively go out there and say, like, hey, I'm looking.
Yeah.
Because people also, like, managers are looked at as entrepreneurs in the business.
Yeah.
And they're not looked at as folks to work within a system.
Yeah.
So
it's challenging. I got to meet with Zach recently about an artist that he's got that's amazing. But I kind of like went into a whole nother direction.
Direction. And crushing it.
Yeah, killing it.
Yeah.
And it's tough, man. It's a challenging business. It's been extremely rewarding for myself and my guys. Kept fed a lot of our families, but it is a challenging business.
How challenging is it for you? You say the folks that are younger than you in this business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Juniors in this business. As corporate likes to say.
I call them they got now. I think it's the now guys.
It's the now guys.
The now folks. It's their turn.
How do you connect with them? Because I sometimes find, thankfully, like my team, they're younger too, but they get it. Like the hustle, like we have to get after it. Wear all kinds of hats.
Yep.
I find that, and maybe this is my bias, but like sometimes that the younger generation doesn't have that. They look down on the hustle mentality that we actually looked at as like, you got to get after it. Yeah. So how are you having those conversations with those folks?
Being intentional about staying connected with the good ones, right? Like we just talked about Tyler Henry, like.
Right. Oh yeah.
Tyler, you want to play golf? You down here? You want to grab a drink? Is there something that we should be working on together?
Yeah.
Hey, there's this thing over here that I think that could be interesting for you.
Yeah.
He's hitting me with stuff. We did artists together with human resources when it was just an idea. We had a gold single together, and it was like,
oh word.
Yeah, and he, that's the benefit of genuine relationships where, he took a chance with human resources when it was just an idea, really, right? Because I was cold. I was trying to figure it out. I was rebuilding a brand new business, and Tyler could have taken the shit anywhere. You know, like it was a record that was already going. He could have taken it anywhere that he wanted to take it. Ty could have taken Brent to anyone. You know, Ty didn't have to stay in business with us. Ty didn't have to honor we shook hands at Nobu and said, this is what we're going to do. That's our deal.
Mm-hmm.
He honored that. You know, like these are honorable people and people that work. And I see how hard these guys work and what they're building. I saw, you know, Tyler, when, you know, it was an idea in a house with him and some of his homies
in the garage. With Sturdy.
Yeah. And when you see them building that, like I recognize it. And I'm like, yo, and it's not, you know, we are intentional about rocking with each other, you know, and
it's not transactional.
It's not transaction. Our relationships are not transactional.
Yeah.
You know, Ty and I end up talking business on the golf course at some point, but we're talking sports, we're talking life, we're talking relationships, we're talking everything else, you know, and you know, those are just two examples, but like it's these guys, it's their turn, you know, like we had our run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had our run, and how I selfishly stay close to it is staying close to the guys that are controlling the music business now.
Do you love how it's crazy, actually? I mean, I came into it just in understanding the power of independent, right? And it was at a time. It was like 2016 when all the bidding war happened, and I had my ideas, I had my thoughts, and we executed independently through TuneCore.
Yep.
I always say, I talk about him often, but Pat Corcoran was very helpful, and Chance, they were very helpful to us. But like, it was a time where it was such a fight to be like, no, this independent thing isn't. I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of money in the bank account for this. And the streaming thing is real right now. You know, like, I don't know why are you trying to convince me otherwise? And so like, how gratifying is it for you to see that the younger generation like mine is able to do it on our own terms in many ways?
I'm a student. You know, I sat with guys like yourself. I sat with whoever would sit with me and talk to me about how they were. This is 7 years ago when I was starting Human Resources. I sat with all of the guys, and I wanted to learn. You know, I said, I'm gonna start a record company. People were looking at me like, what? A record company?
Right.
It's not independent. Like, that's not the way. Record companies are not distro companies, right? Like, and even the nuances of how you're speaking about, how I was speaking about what it is that I wanted to build, right? I learned that from the community. I learned it from young people like yourself that were doing it, and what managers wanted to see, like what types of deals that artists were looking for. I went back to school. I became a student again, and listened to the community and what was important to folks.